The first record I ever made in a studio, I'd like to tell you about that because this demonstrates to me what it's like to be a guitarist. You have to kind of be ready for anything. And you have to have all your tools at your disposal ready to go, and you don't know what they're going to throw at you. The first record I ever did was with Frank Zappa, and we did a movie as well, but it was all live. So I hadn't yet been in a studio proper making a record. This record was going to be called, eventually it was called Lodger. David Bowie was the artist, and Brian Eno was the producer. And it was being made in Lake Geneva, Switzerland. So I flew over there. Gorgeous place, of course. I mean, it's just stunning to be there. Beautiful lake in the mountains. I stayed in a Swiss hotel. My balcony came out over the lake, and I could see everything. Oh, it was just great. Best hot chocolate in the world, too. And the place where the record was being made was kind of interesting. It had previously been a gambling casino, and it burnt down to the ground. In fact, ironically, it burnt down to the ground when Frank Zappa was playing there. And that gave people the words for smoke on the water. That's about that incident. So when they rebuilt the gambling casino, they also made a recording studio there too. They made it like a concrete bunker. I mean, there's no way that thing's ever going to burn at all. And it's where they hold the Montreux Jazz Festival every year. So the layout was like this. The bottom floor was the control room with David, Brian Eno, and Tony Visconti, who was the co-producer too. And you walked up these concrete stairs, and on the top room above you, that's where you recorded. That's where the instruments were. And you couldn't see them, but they could see you. They had a closed-circuit TV camera. So they had already tracked 20 songs, no vocals, when I arrived, and they said, we're thinking of calling this record Planned Accidents. So we just want to get your accidental responses to the music. Okay, fair enough. Let me hear the music. Oh, no, you don't get to hear it. What? No, the concept is you go up and put your guitar on and put your headphones on, and you'll hear a count off and you start playing. Well, what key? Oh, no, you don't get to know what key. Oh, this is a pretty interesting way to make a record. So a song would come on, and I would play whatever I could find to play all the way through it, maybe twice. And then by the third time, I might actually know the key of the chorus, and they'd stop and say, that's enough, you got it. Then they would take the best bits of what I played, link them all together in what you call a composite track. And if you hear the guitar solos on the Lodger record for I'm a DJ or Boys Keep Swinging or Red Sails, that's me fumbling around trying to figure out what key we're in. That's making records with Brian Eno is like that, and it's really served me well. It really opened my eyes right off the bat that there are no rules. The guitar is a beautiful instrument for being so versatile. You can just do anything you want. Over the years, I've attacked it in so many ways. I've played it with a file. I played it with a bow. I played it with barbecue tongs one time. Anything to make something happen with it, because it's such a wonderful partner. You can get so many sounds out of it. And I grew up along with the development of all the technology. When I started playing guitar, you had an amp and a guitar. If you were lucky, that's all you had. There was nothing else. And then, in the late 60s, you had Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, and suddenly there was an explosion of pedals, and soon there was multi-effect units. Then there was guitar synthesizers. Then there was MIDI guitar. And I grew up through all of that and was always fooling and noodling around with that. That's kind of what I got known for, the guy that does crazy things. Because I love sound, and you get so much sound out of an electric guitar, that's one of the things I love about it. Let me tell you a couple other stories here, because I'm trying to illustrate to you how good it has been to me that I got mononucleosis. And it's my favorite disease. And that I started playing guitar, because it's taken me all around the world 20 times. I've been to Japan 15 times, Australia 3 or 4 times. Last 2 years ago, we played in Russia for 150,000 people. It's just incredible, the stuff that happens once those doors open up. And of course, I've been extremely fortunate, I know that. In 1990, I did my second tour with David Bowie, and this was something I wish every musician would get to do once. It was one of those big tours, stadiums around the world. Lasted an entire year, 108 shows in 27 different countries, and we had Lee Iacocca's private jet. It was tough. And we just had such a great time. It was a life-changing year for me in many, many ways. And one time I remember we were in Philadelphia. We were staying at the Four Seasons Hotel, and I learned from the road manager that in the presidential suite, penthouse, Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney were up there. Ooh, wow. I like Paul McCartney. Maybe I should call and see if I can talk to him. Hi, is this Paul? Yes, this is Paul. Paul? Is Paul there? This is Paul. Could I speak to Paul? Yes, this is Paul. Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, it's Paul. And he invited me up to his room. And it was amazing. I went up, the elevator, came out the elevator doors. There's a CIA agent-looking guy here, and one down at the end of the hall. There's a big presidential suite sign. And I go by the guy, and he's got his ear thing, and he's Bowie guitarist. It's like, oh, he's cool. He's a Bowie guitarist. Okay. Knock on the door. There's Paul McCartney. He opens the door up. Walk in and sit around for about almost an hour talking to him. And he was just the most delightful guy in the world, of course. Why wouldn't you be if you were Paul McCartney? Gee. Linda served us tea. It doesn't get any better than that, I didn't like the tea, but still, there's me and Paul sitting there talking, and he would start a story. And I'm so in tune with the Beatleology, the mythology, that he would start a story. He'd say, and in 1961, we were in Hamburg, and the police came in, and I'd say, and George got kicked out of the country, expelled because he had no passport. Yeah, that's right. I finished all of his stories for him. It was a very memorable moment. And that's another thing that I got to do in my life that I think, wow, had I not played guitar, I would have never had the chance to do that kind of stuff. Let me look on my little list over here and see if I've left off anything. There's so many things. I could probably tell you hundreds of stories. Yeah, that's for sure. Oh, I would like to tell you about my night with David and Mick. That's good. We played a 1990 tour still. I'm not going to go much further than that. We played in Paris, and it was great. And we had a big party afterwards in this disco. And in the disco, there was a place where you walk down these stairs like this, and there was a side room that was all private. There were guards there and things, and a nice side room. It was the VIP room. Well, I was walking around, and, I wasn't invited to the VIP room, but I looked over, and David saw me. Come on. Okay, so I go into the VIP room. There's a little love seat sitting there, like this big, just big enough for 3 people. He sits me in the middle, and Mick Jagger sits on this side, and David sits on this side. And I spent my whole night listening to these guys sort of joke with each other and just banter with each other. I was like the coffee table in between, just sitting there. It was great. It was so amazing. David can't drink worth a darn. If he has, just smells of beer, he gets real tipsy. So he had a beer or something. So he was out on the dance floor trying to dance with this girl, and she was real pretty and everything. And Mick was going, I'm going to steal his girl. Watch this. He's talking to me. Really? Oh, gee. He'd go out and he'd dance with her, and he'd come back and they'd joke some more, and he'd sort of say, one time David went out and he was dancing kind of poorly, and Mick said, look at that old queen. It was all done in great love and emotion and fun, because they really do love each other. But that's another memorable moment where you're sitting there just going, wow, can't believe I'm here. I had pinch marks all over myself. So that's what guitar has done for me. I'd like to go on now to talk about the guitar itself and what it is I think that is so fascinating about it and so attractive about it. Some of the aspects, it's just simple things. It's a portable instrument, first of all. I mean, I can't imagine dragging a baby grand piano back to my hotel room every night, but I take my guitar back in a soft bag every night. And thousands of airplane flights, I've taken my guitar and put it in the overhead. And I can have it with me everywhere I go. And that's really a plus, It's, in terms of the layout of an electric guitar, it's a very simple layout, really. It usually just has 2 knobs and a hole. You plug the cord in there, you plug the cord into the amp, and away you go. And there are a lot of great guitar players, people like my friend Jeff Beck, who I like so much, who That's all they do. They don't go any further than that, and it's great. I played at Royal Albert Hall with King Crimson, and we had after the show in the green room, all the people are allowed to come back, and the band comes out, and I came out, and Jeff Beck was standing there, and I walked over, and I went to shake his hand, and he shook my hand and went, "You bastard." Sawed my arm off, you know. It's about the best compliment you could ever have right there, as far as I'm concerned. But the guitar is a pretty simple instrument, except in the hands of people like me who make it about as complicated as I can get. But that's just what I like. I like making it do things it's not supposed to do. You think of some other things about the guitar. It's, it's not shy. It does have volume now. I mean, it's a great communication device because you could probably blow a horn section off the stage if you wanted to. There's that aspect to it. There's the beauty of it, the beauty of a guitar. It's always been kind of shaped, kind of womanly, kind of sensuous, a little sexy, kind of like a sports car, but at a fraction of the price, And if you come to my show, you'll see I have a very, very modern sculpted guitar, the Parker Fly, and it weighs 4 pounds, and it really does look to me like a modern sculpture, I swear. It's just so gorgeously done. It is what I think, it's all come to, right there. The Ferrari of electric guitars. We had the Cadillac and the Ford, now we got the Ferrari. So there's that. Let me think of what else I was going to say about it. Some of my favorite things are the versatility of what you can do with the guitar, the sounds you can make. Like I said, when I started, there was just an amp, and then there were fuzz tones and so forth. I play my guitar now through a laptop, which is astounding, to think that it's come that far so quickly. But it's due to the fact that I travel internationally so much. I try to take very little gear with me, and I have to have that very specific gear do everything I need it to do, which leads me to one of the most recent stories that I have, something that I'd wanted to do since I was in my 20s. I told you I don't read music. I write it, I spell it out to people, or I just record it, or however. I have many ways to use the music, but I've always wanted to do something with an orchestra, which is an odd thing for a person to even think of doing if you can't read music. But I took 3 years to write this piece of music called E. I did a version of it with my electric trio, and the whole time I was writing it, I kept thinking, this is an orchestral piece, and I've got all these parts that can't be played by an electric trio. What am I going to do? So when I put the record out for the electric trio, I said in the press and on my website, well, this is really an orchestral piece of music. I have all the parts written for that. Just put that out there. One day I got a call from Kurt Jan Blom, the director of the Metropole Orchestra in Amsterdam, and he said, we are fully funded by the government, and we want to do your symphony. So a year and a half into that, there was a lot of things to do. I had to go over there and work with the orchestrator, spell out every little part of every instrument and so forth. He had to write the score. We went over eventually. I rehearsed with him. We did a studio version of the record. And then finally came the day where we were going to play E, a 43-minute piece of music in 11 sections, very complicated, difficult piece of music. We were going to play it at the Paradiso venue in Amsterdam, which is one of the most popular venues ever in all of Europe. Keith Richards recently said in his autobiography it was his favorite place that the Stones ever played. It's a converted church, so it's gorgeous, has 2 huge balconies. Well, the day of the show, I went in there at 5 o'clock because they said you can have a few minutes on your own before the orchestra arrives, and you can test do your sound check. I was with my friend Daniel Rowland, who's here. He's the guitar tech who put my gear together, and he's also my recording engineer. And Daniel said, okay, it's all set up, come on out. I sat down to tune the guitar, and I looked down, and the bottom rack was smoking. It's kind of like the most stressful moment I've ever had in my life, because I realized I can't play without this gear. And there's a full orchestra sitting here, and there's a full audience, some of whom have come from different parts of the world, and I'm not going to be able to play. So I took a deep breath, and Daniel said, don't worry about it. Daniel's a very calm guy. It's all good. Don't worry. Go back to the dressing room. I went back to the dressing room, and, I was busy trying to flush myself down the toilet when when Daniel came in and said, it's fixed. Just a power supply, the burnout. We had an extra one. We're fine. So then the moment came, and we played the piece of music, and it was just a glorious achievement. It was just so wonderful. It was like you were driving the space shuttle. You know, I mean, to hear this orchestra behind you playing this music, you took 3 years to write it, just the greatest privilege. I was later told that that event cost $250,000 to do that. So it's likely I may never get to do it again unless someone's crazy. I mean, someone's really enjoys that piece of music enough here in the United States, hopefully. Back to the guitar. So it's so versatile to imagine that you start out playing Beatles songs and then one day you're playing with an orchestra. That's pretty a remote set of circumstances ever put together. So I think that's kind of what it is about the guitar that's so attractive, really, is the personality. You can take your personality and put it into the guitar. As you watch the people in this festival here, you'll see every one of them have a slightly different approach. They're all playing the same instrument. Why do they all sound so different? One guy's playing blues, another guy's playing with a slide, another guy has a 12-string, another guy's doing this, someone's doing that. You know, Adrian Belew, they don't know what he's doing, but you know, it has so much personality and versatility to it, and I think that's what it is. Its capacity for self-expression is just the best. And through self-expression, you get passion. You want to play. You're just thrilled with it. Through passion, you get perseverance. You can't stop playing. You just want to be the best. And then through perseverance, you might get to be one of the guys here in this, you know, ELLNORA Composite Chordophone Festival. So that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, thanks. You didn't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.